I love the beautiful piano behind you. Is that where you worked on maybe the compilation or your spin on the new songs that you have for this album you've been releasing?
Yeah, I mean, it became definitely a place to like work on new music, and kind of pull together some, versions of some of the songs. I mean, honestly, I recorded probably 70% of it before the big grand arrived, but I have an upright piano in my kitchen, and I have two pianos at home, so I spent quite a long time at that one, just knocking things out and trying new songs, and playing some Billie Eilish, and just trying to figure them out, trying to figure it out.
You are spanning quite the various genres on this new album of yours, The Moving Company. Where does the title come from?
Well, it's a little like twofold. It's like I went through a big breakup in 2020, and so having a moving company in your home is like a pretty big deal, especially when you're not moving. But then also, there was a company of people that came together that kind of helped me move on, and that was it kind of came from both. It was a little bit of both on that, and I wanted something that was kind of a little reminiscent of what I had been through, what kind of inspired doing the album, but then also, positive. I mean, my sister helped me with that title, with The Moving Company, but my best friend, comedian Matt Walker, told me that I should call the album Music for Funerals. So I think this is a better title, even though that is not a bad title for maybe a future album.
I have to say that this album has so many standout tracks from all various artists that are super popular, super friendly, that people may know from our generation growing up, or things like that. How did you select the songs that you're decided to cover?
Well, originally it was just these are they were like songs that I was kind of like a little bit. Oh, we got some audio coming in from somewhere else. Oh, there we go. It's okay. So there was like some stuff that was just like super personal, where like I was like, oh God, this song, always hits home with me. It always makes me feel stuff. And then there were other songs that, I had been doing for like, 10, 12, 13 years. I used to sing all the time, like Crazy, the Gnarls Barkley song. Like that's one of my favorite songs on, since it came out. I learned it on the piano and started, playing around with it, like back when it had come out. And there's always been, stuff like, I mean, the Beatles, Long and Winding Road, and
Right.
Runaway Train, the, song by
Soul Asylum.
Soul Asylum. Yeah, like I love Soul Asylum, and I was such a big fan, as a teenager. So I wanted to do something from that time period, and from the early '90s, and I just wasn't sure. I didn't really want to. I thought about doing Nirvana. I tried. We did a cover of Heart Shaped Box that didn't make it through to the end.
Next album.
I did probably 5 other Beatles songs. Oh yeah. I did a bunch of Beatles songs that we were just like, Yesterday has been covered so many times. Like it's not going to get any traction. It's not going to make that much of an impact, And then we did some Phil Collins. That was really cool. That got close to being on it. Radiohead almost got cut from it because we were just trying to decide what those last couple of songs. I mean, we did Losing My Religion. We had so much different stuff. But these songs really were the standouts that felt the most complete, and had some of the best performances by other musicians on them too. and weren't just pretty. They were meaningful. They like, had heart to them. And that's kind of how we ended up judging it, Jamie, was just, what songs have the most heart and I feel the most connected to, and that's the ones that we kept on the album.
Your choker inspired video for Crazy is bananas. I wonder how you correlated the two.
Yeah, I rewatched Joker while we were making the album, and I was like, man, what would be cool is if I just took footage from Joker and I played it in reverse and put a piece of the song on it. So I did that, and just for fun, and I posted it on YouTube, and it went crazy. It just went insane, like just thousands and thousands and thousands of views. And I was like, whoa, 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 like tens of thousands. And I was like, huh,
we have something here.
yeah. And then I thought about it, and I was like, okay, I have that suit, in my closet. So like that's my suit. So I was like, all I need is the green shirt, and then I could paint my face. And then I was thinking about like locations, and I was like, well, downtown Los Angeles is disgusting, and there is all sorts of little corners and alleyways that have the Joker kind of vibe to it. And so I was like, okay, all right, like I could go do that, and then we have a subway here in LA that is basically like kind of like a homeless transportation system at this point. Like it's just the homeless here in LA there's so many, and what the best, safest place for a lot of them to go is into the subway, and they'll just camp out in the subway. And so we were like, man, if we can do that safely, the subway is gonna look right out of Gotham. So we went down there and shot with Marza Wilkes, our cellist, and she was very brave and did an awesome job. And our camera guys were great. Everyone on the subway was super nice and very cool. But yeah, we shot without permits for almost everything. But it was, don't tell anybody. But yeah, but it was really neat. And then and then I saw Suicide Squad was going to come out, and I was like, let's drop this right before Suicide Squad, get the DC love. And it worked really well. I mean, James Gunn saw the music video, and lots of other great people, including CeeLo, who some really crazy stuff has happened because of that. So
I was going to ask you, what does it mean to you to have your songs, your covers, approved not just by CeeLo, but by, many other famous names have been super helpful in putting the word out there about these incredible tracks you've put out.
You're so nice. You're so nice. Yeah, I mean, it means so much to me. I mean, Ben Platt, I'm a huge Platt fan. I'm a big fan of his work, and Dear Evan Hansen is going to be amazing. The movie's going to be incredible. He used my track on TikTok to make like a funny video. So did
Addison Rae.
Oh my God, yeah, and Lauren Gray and a whole bunch of other people used it. And it got featured in a bunch of articles in Newsweek and a bunch of other stuff, which was really crazy. And then CeeLo used it. That was the one where he like contacted me and, just to say, hey, and it was like, I
made it.
Yeah, I was like, well, I'm done. And then, to just drive it home as far as how crazy and insane things really do get. There's a charity called Face Forward that I've been a part of for a long time, and I've done some stuff with them in the past. They contacted me and said that CeeLo is their opening act for their show in April of next year, and would I be interested in being his opening act? and singing, and doing the whole thing. And I was like, of course. And they were like, all right, now we have to go talk to CeeLo. And then they went to him and asked him, and he had to like listen to my album and like pick out the songs that he was comfortable with me doing, and how much of crazy I can actually sing before I get to bring him up to the stage, and all of this stuff. So that's all happening, which is super, super exciting. And he approved, everything, and we're good for next year. So very exciting stuff. Super cool.
The album was produced by Greg Collins. He's a Grammy winner himself. How did you guys work together? Or I guess I should say, how did you guys come together to work on the production side of this album? And how much of a say did you actually have when it came to the production aspect of the album?
So to be completely upfront about it, the album was produced by two people. It was produced by Greg
and Natalie London.
Yeah, Natalie London is my sister, and she's a recording artist and works. She's like signed by a big label and does incredible stuff. She has a band called Hey King, and I did one of their songs on the album, which was like so cool and just like, oh my God. It's one of my favorite songs in the whole album. It's called Don't Let Me Get Away. And it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful piece of work. But Greg watched me live on TikTok, and him and I are both best buddies with Jeff Ross, the roast master comedian, and we had met through him and hung out and had some late night jam sessions, and we've been friends for a long time. But then he watched me on this TikTok live just do a bunch of songs. I love this dog so much.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. And so then he offered to like help me put together the first the first couple tracks and get me in the studio and kind of guide me a little bit into how to do it. And his guidance was super, super helpful, because I was not, I'd never done this before. And he was like, I think the most you should have is one extra instrument per song. He's like, you should be doing it, you and piano. And like, if you bring in an extra instrument, that's fine, but don't overcomplicate it. Don't get an entire band, and I listened to him for the most part. And then I think after a while, you start going, well, I want to jam with a whole bunch of people. Like I want to play with I want drums, and I want this, I want that. And you start trying to do that. And most of I'd say 90% of the tracks that I recorded where it was like me and a full band got thrown in the trash. Like most of that didn't work, because that's not where the emotions are for me. That's not where I do best. Like where I kind of hit my hottest moments on this album are the stuff where it's like me jamming with like a violin, or me jamming with like an upright bass or whatever, and getting to play with another person is like enough for me, so it's really cool. It worked out great. And a lot of that came from my sister kind of listening to what I was doing and being like, okay, take it easy. Pull it back a little bit. We don't need 5 instruments on this. Let's simplify, and that made it so like tracks like Basket Case, the Green Day song, that really works. And it's just me and Casey Abrams singing harmonies together and playing upright bass and piano,
You touched on what song really, I guess, resonated the most, or maybe means the most to you, but what song maybe challenged you the most as far as creating it?
The song that was the most challenging to record was When the Party's Over, the Billie Eilish song. That was like Circles by Post Malone was the most difficult one to get right, because I wasn't playing with a click track. So you're trying to keep the rhythm the whole way through it. And there's a lot, there's so much to that song. And so it got, that one was really hard to record and make sound right. But I love the way it came out. But When the Party's Over was literally just me and a piano, and it's such an emotional song that like I couldn't make it through a take without like kind of falling apart. Like I would just, it was hitting a little too close to home. And that whole song is about like being alone and being, comfortable being alone, and missing somebody else, and having someone and missing them, but knowing that you're better off on your own. And I was feeling all those feelings,
Sure, post breakup.
Oh yeah, that was a difficult one to do, but it's the one that set the bar for the rest of the album. Like everything had to be at that level or it wasn't going to work, and yeah, that was probably the most difficult. I love it though. I love the way that it came out.
What kind of fan reaction have you been getting? We talked about those celebrities that touched on your album, but what kind of fan response have you been receiving as well?
Really, my fans are like the nicest people in the world. They have all been so like gracious, and I know I can tell you some real numbers because I just got my SoundCloud stats today. Let's see. It's doing very nicely. Spotify. Okay, so on Spotify, here's how the album is doing: 31,000 streams and 4,300 more listeners than I normally get, which is pretty solid for me. Like that feels successful, like I don't know what it's supposed to be. But right now I'm at 12,300 monthly listeners. So that's great. Like, like right before I released the album, I talked to Kendall from Big Time Rush, and I was like, do you get super nervous? Like, how do you feel? Do you get worried every time you put out an album or music, or like, what do you do? And blah, blah, blah. And he was like, Stephen, the most difficult thing in the world is just getting people to listen. If you can get them to listen to the album, you're winning. Like, just you're killing it. Like, don't worry about like reviews, or if you get, if people, like are obsessed with it, or if it, if it does 1 million downloads, like all that stuff happens over time. Like this right now is just about people, caring that, enough to listen to it. So to have 12,000 listeners, that's a win. That's a win for me. I feel fantastic about that. Yeah.
Well, what have you personally taken away from your time working on the album? It must be, quite satisfying for you to know that this is your debut album and it's been quite a success. But what have you personally taken away from the process?
There is absolutely nothing more vulnerable than making a music album. Like there just really isn't. Like I put out a stand-up album in 2020. It came out in March of 2020, right as the pandemic hit. And I'm telling you, Jamie, I couldn't care less if like people had listened or liked it or whatever. And people did. Like it got bought by exclusively by SiriusXM and aired still to this day. It's airing on all 3 comedy channels on SiriusXM, which is so rad. It didn't matter to me if people liked the album because there are people laughing on the album. It's like people. There's proof. You can hear the people enjoying it, but with this, it's so personal, and you have to like let it go off into the world and just, suck it up, that like you don't have any power over, like, if people enjoy it or if they don't enjoy it. Like that's a really tricky thing. It gave me so much more respect for everybody I know who releases music, because you just toss it into the void a little bit and hope that it lands with some fans and with some people. And I loved it. I can't wait to make more music. I can't wait to like be able to tour and do a little I want to do this tour called An Evening with Stephen Kramer Glickman, where I go to like colleges and like small theaters and do some of these songs and tell stories and do like stories in between the songs. And
That would be great.
I would love to, especially if I could bring someone like Casey Abrams with me, or any of the Marza or Jesse Green from Foo Fighters. If I could bring any of these people along for the ride, have them come out with me for like a show, I would love it. I would love it. So I mean, anything to kind of push the people to kind of see me as a more well-rounded entertainer is really the goal in the end. So yeah.
Where can people go online? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I mean, just and letting your feelings go outside of your body and take a walk is like, let them take control of the wheel for a little bit. Like that's a great thing. That's a cool feeling.
Very cathartic, I'm sure, too.
Yes, 100%.
Where can people go online to check out not just the singles, but the album as a whole?
The album is available on Spotify and Apple Music. The whole thing, you can just go get the whole thing. If you want to buy the album, it's available like on iTunes, I guess, and Amazon Music. People buy it from there. But you can just, listen to the whole thing for free on Spotify, which is great. It's called Stephen Kramer Glickman, The Moving Company. So yeah. And then if you want to check out the music video for Crazy, that is available on YouTube. Just look up Crazy Stephen Kramer Glickman or Crazy Glickman, which is pretty funny. And there's you'll find it. It's there. And I have 2 more music videos on the way. One that's already fully shot. We did a music video for Everything I Wanted, the Billie Eilish song, and we did it with a bunch of marionette puppets, and it's so weird. It's so weird, but hopefully something Billie would approve of. And then we're shooting another one in October, end of September, beginning of October, for When the Party's Over, and that's going to be pretty serious. That's going to be pretty cool. Some great effects and interesting plans. So it's going to be great.